When there's stories, there are characters, and that is true with video games. While gameplay is the most important factor, characters play the role of who you're playing as and encounter. Characters are loved and hated by people depending on characteristics, personality, and backstory. So for this, I'm going to list my personal 10 favorite characters, but I must also imply some rules. 1. I'm placing characters from games that I've actually played. So in other words, I'm not placing characters from games or series that I have not played. So no Ratchet & Clank or Kratos from God of War. 2. I'm only including characters that are made for the games, so no Spider-Man, Epic Mickey, or any movie-based character. And this will not be easy, because there's a limited games that I've played that aren't from cartoons, movies, etc. So if more than one character from a franchise appears on this list, then I do apologize. And 3, and most importantly, this is all opinion-based, which means you're free to have your own, so please respect my opinions and don't be an idiotic cunt over my thoughts. So here is Chief Shadow 1750's top 10 favorite video game characters.
Number 10.
If there was one sidekick in video games that I am so familiar with, and actually liked, it's Miles Prower, aka Tails. Tails is known to have not one, but 2 tails, which allows him to fly. Tails is also a mechanical genius, and is able to create planes that can turn into mech and other gizmos. Tails is not only Sonic's best friend, but he also looks at him like a brother, whilst mostly fighting with Sonic. But when he's alone and in trouble, he finds himself very determined to fight the battle alone, and not letting Sonic down, that is. And when Sonic's in danger, Tails is also there to help. But there were some things that I didn't like about Tails. In Sonic 2, Tails was almost useless in the game, and when he was useful, it was in the boss fights and in the 2-player mode. I also hated his voice in Sonic Heroes, where he just sounded like a crybaby.
Sonic, you sure this is the right way?
I saw Shadow and Eggman head this way. This has gotta be the right way.
But it's so spooky here.
Maybe that's the ghost of Shadow we saw earlier.
Stop it, Knuckles.
Oh, cry me a fucking river! Yeah, William Corkery was without a doubt the worst voice for Tails that I've endured in video games. However, Amy Pound and Kate Higgins actually improved on the voices of Tails much better than Corkery did.
Sonic, is that really you? That's a new look. What happened?
You know me. Never a dull moment. Want some chocolate?
Thanks. Oh, I was reconfiguring my handheld into a translator, so I understand this guy. Did you go somewhere?
But I don't think Sonic would get very far in some games without the help of Tails. Just goes to show that you can rely on your best friend to help you.
Number 9.
Did you ever wanted a protagonist while a hero in cases, but is also a thief? Well, Sucker Punch did that in a PlayStation 2 video game franchise. His name, Sly Cooper. Born from a long line of master thieves, Sly grew up learning about his family's history as master thieves, and was to follow in his father's footsteps and inherit the Thievius Raccoonus. However, the night that Sly was to inherit the book, a mysterious gang of criminals known as the Fiendish Five not only killed Sly's parents, but stole the Thievius Raccoonus by tearing out its pages and split it among themselves before leaving. Orphaned, Sly met Bentley and Murray and became his lifelong friends. Sly is determined to continue the Cooper legacy. Sly's primary weapon is his cane, which was a symbol to his family and helps him in fights. Because of his family bloodline, Sly can perform many abilities only few can master. Sly can also disguise himself to fool other characters. What I also liked about him is that he also flirts with Inspector Carmelita Fox, as well as Constable Neela at times.
About time you showed up, Miss Fox. I was getting worried about you. Thought you took a wrong turn somewhere back in Paris.
Hold it, Cooper.
Constable Neela. Another policewoman hot on my tail.
But you know, Sly wouldn't have done all of these things without the help of Bentley and Murray. You know what? I'm adding Bentley and Murray to this spot. Why? Because I can. Bentley is the brains of the group who comes up with the plans and can be very nervous at times, but he gets more confident in Sly too, so that's good sign of character development. He can also use sleep darts and bombs to attack, and he can even hack computers when playing as him. Although still confined to a wheelchair in Sly 3, he still manages to keep his confidence. So again, good character development. And Murray, or I'm sorry, the Murray, who's the muscles of the group. Well, except for the first game, where he was timid and was used in the racing missions and minigames. But in Sly 2, he was greatly developed as he's a battle-ready hippo.
You and me, pal, side by side.
The Murray knows no fear.
When playing as him, he could use his fists to fight enemies, pick up and throw enemies and objects. And because of his strength, he could take out enemies faster than Sly and Bentley, and lift heavy doors. And interestingly enough, in Sly 3, he can also curl up into a ball and bounce extremely high. But he does have a soft spot, most notably when Bentley was injured at the end of Sly 2. Spoiler alert. Murray blamed himself and leaves the team to find his spiritual center, but he does return to his old self when confronting Don Octavio. And it just shows that he does care for his friends.
That does it! I'll floss my teeth with your spine! The Murray returns!
But in all that, the Cooper gang is one hell of a terrific team. Take that, Sonic Heroes! Well, there's only one thing to say, and that's... God damn it, my chain's stolen again!
That sneaky devil.
Number 8.
I'm Sonic! Sonic the Hedgehog!
Yeah, it seems predictable, but in all honesties, I do like Sonic the Hedgehog. He's obviously the main star of the franchise. Sonic is known as the fastest thing alive because of his speed. He saves the world and his friends, but at the same time, he still retains a cool attitude. Also, Sonic is rarely intimidated by his Eggman.
To find Baldy McNosehair, of course. I'm totally calling him McNosehair.
And has an attitude like in-your-face style, which I also kind of like in this character. Sonic has many abilities like homing attack, the spin dash, light dash, etc. His gameplay in most of the games that I played were actually enjoyable to play. Combining speed and platforming was a good challenge to bring around. He has the personality that I like in characters. While tough and through a tough situation, he still manages to keep his cool. And over time, he strongly develops in later games, which is again another good thing. Perhaps the only thing that I didn't like with Sonic was the way he said things in Sonic Heroes.
Okay then, let's get ready to do this. We'll show that creep the real superpower of
No, I'm not dealing with that again. But even still, I still enjoy Sonic, even though I despise Sonic Heroes.
Number 7.
Out of the females in the Jak and Daxter series, if I had to choose my favorite female, I'd go with Tess. No, not that Tess. Anyways, Tess was introduced in Jak 2, like most of the other well-known characters besides Jak, Daxter, Samos, and Kira. She starts off as a member of the Underground, where she is given an assignment.
Wait, I've seen you before. You're with the Underground.
Shh! I'm Tess. Torn sent me to spy on Crew. Play along, and I may be able to get my hands on a few of Crew's secrets.
In Jak 3, she works on designing guns and runs the gun course.
You make guns now?
Yeah, I just finished this new gun. It sports a multi-port, large-bore, gyro-burst launcher with blowback breach assist, using full-jacket, eco-depleted, armor-piercing slugs, and a continuous kill zone scanner for tight groupings at a high cycle rate of fire. It's a hobby. Not so fast.
What I like about Tess is that she's really bright and kind, but she does take her job seriously. She's strong and serious, but that mostly happens in Jak 3. But in Jak 2, she's always kind and smiley, except for Jak and Daxter's arrival at the Underground hideout in the beginning of the game. She also becomes the love interest of a certain orange Otzel and is very protective of him.
First, you have to prove you can protect my little schnookums in the new gun course.
She also has some sparks in Jak 3.
Now, I want you to protect my little baby with this, or else I'll hunt you down and hurt you real bad. Okay?
Wow! I didn't know you had so much...
And, spoiler alert! She becomes an Otsu at the end of Jak 3 by the Precursor Leader, after she wishes that she had a pair of pants like Daxter.
Be careful what you wish for.
Tess is one of the only characters that actually believes Daxter's stories, which is actually funny since no one else believed him. Well, except for Edge, Shiv, and Razor in Jak X, as well as Osmo, Zyman, and Taran in Daxter. But in Jak X, she only appears in one short film.
What?
But in all cases, Tess is a very fun and enjoyable character, and I must say, she's too damn cute!
Go give him hell, boys. Then come back, and I'll scratch you behind your ears.
Number 6.
Every series needs a villain, and for the Crash Bandicoot series, that honor goes to Dr. Neo Cortex. He is a mad scientist who used the Evolvo Ray to create a mutated army of animals that will aid him in his quest for world domination. One of them, Crash Bandicoot, escapes, but Cortex begins experimenting on Twana, Crash's girlfriend in the game. But he is soon defeated by Crash, where he finds the Master Crystal. But in order to get the Cortex Vortex in full power, he needs to collect the 25 slave crystals. So he abducts Crash and has him collecting them.
I apologize for the crude means used to bring you here, but I rather expect a written invitation would have been turned down.
But that backfires when Coco realizes what's going on.
Crash! Cortex isn't going to use the crystals to contain the planet's energy. He's going to harness the force and use it to power the Super Cortex Vortex he has built on his space station. One blast of the ray will cover the entire world, turning everyone into Cortex's mindless slaves. Crash, don't let him have those crystals!
In Warped, Cortex actually has a boss in Uka Uka, who they plan to capture the crystals in the Time Twister with Dr. Nefarious Tropy. Throughout the series, Cortex always comes up with a scheme to eliminate Crash, but it ends up being backfired. Also, it's really funny to see him get scolded by Uka Uka.
Great Uka Uka, it was that infernal Bandicoot. From deep inside my temple prison, I sent you simple instructions to follow, but you lost the gems, you lost the crystals, and I have lost my patience.
What I like in Cortex is that while he's a mad scientist, he does end up having some funny moments. And this is definitely true in Crash Twinsanity.
Sleep soundly, Nina, and don't fear the night, with its long claws that scratch and its sharp teeth that bite. Under the covers, there's no need to hide, for your uncle's the monster, and he's on your side!
He has also one of the best final bosses in Warped. Cortex was also playable in Twinsanity, where his main mode of attack is his ray gun. But I didn't like the way he was portrayed in Crash of the Titans, as if he's seen to act like a total drama queen.
You can't replace me! My name's on the stationery!
Jesus Christ! Oh well, Cortex is still one twisted and hilarious mad scientist.
Get ready to face my wrath, Crash Bandicoot.
Number 5.
While Dr. Cortex may be the comedic villain, but when it comes to sinister villains, Naughty Dogs could not have created a better villain than Core. His role in Jak 2 helped the story completely. He starts off meeting Jak and Daxter as they escape the fortress. After Jak fending off some Crimson Guards, Core tells them about the underground, and from there he serves as an ally for the most part. But as time goes on, there are suspicions about him. He knows so much of the metalheads, longing to have the Precursor Stone, and even gets insulted by a remark by Daxter.
During my travels in the deep wasteland, I saw some of the bigger ones. Awesome creatures.
We saw a big one coming out of a rift once. He was ugly!
Towards the end of the game, Jak encounters Core and Baron Praxis, and from there, he shows his true form. I bet that scared you when you first played it. Anyways, when Jak and Daxter confronts him at the nest, Cores reveals the truth about Jak.
But this child is such a part of this. Such a part of you. Don't you recognize him? The boy is you, Jak. And this place, this is where you began. In the future. But how? You were hidden in the past on the hope that you would gain the skills to face me today. But Onin was wrong.
He also appeared as a hologram in Daxter, but that game was in the events prior to the escape in Jak 2. Now, even though Metal Core was a hard son of a bitch to fight, and was the hardest boss I've ever played against, I still think Metal Core was without a doubt one of the best final bosses in games, and beating him was so satisfying. I don't need to say it anymore. Metal Core is awesome!
Number 4.
Why shouldn't I include the character that got me into video games? Crash Bandicoot was introduced in 1996 and was created by Naughty Dog, and was originally meant to be Sony's mascot to compete with Sonic and Mario. Crash was genetically engineered through the use of Cortex and Dr. Nitrous Brio's Volvo Ray. In the first Crash game, he could only jump and do his signature spin move, but in the later games he could slide, double jump, carry a bazooka, etc. Crash is a very emotional character who's very quick to laugh and very quick to cry. Even though he's a danger-loving, fearless nature and loves a good fight, he rather prefers relaxing in the sun and rarely seek out trouble deliberately. Crash has extremely limited vocabulary, preferring to speak in unintelligible gibberish. Crash can also be categorized as a cartoon character, with his death animations and cartoon humor, that makes him at least funny. In Crash of the Titans, he can collect mojo and jack on enemies. I like the concepts, but the execution needed work. No. But aside from that, Crash is a very funny character, and I thank him for getting me into video games.
Number 3.
While Crash was a comedic protagonist, Jak, on the other hand, is a more developed and serious character. Jak starts off as brave and curious, who's willing to throw himself into dangerous situations as shown in the precursor Legacy. However, Jak 2 changed his character completely. Because of Jak becoming subjected to dark eco treatments for 2 years at the hands of Baron Praxis, revenge becomes his main motive, and he has become angry and reckless due to the presence of dark eco in the system. He also takes some enjoyment in killing metalheads and has a fondness for guns.
Kill metalheads? Get toys? Sounds good to me.
However, Jak does retain some heroic personality traits.
The boy will now play his final part.
Not this time.
However, I liked him best in Jak 3. As he gained light eco powers to balance out the dark eco, he becomes less angry and more mature.
Beaker's the one who attacked the palace. He said he was looking for something below. Something in the catacombs.
Lost Frontier, on the other hand, while hinting anger, Jak is a lot more carefree and cheerful, in a way that resembles more like his old self in the precursor Legacy.
And our ticket out of here. That baby looks fast standing still. Come on, Dax. Climb aboard and put your tray tables in the upchuck position.
At least he didn't say the exit's through the rear.
The night is still young.
When playing as Jak, he can harness different eco abilities, depending on which colored eco he uses. And in the sequels, Jak has a gun that changed into 4 mods, 12 in Jak 3, each of which with their own special abilities. Whichever version you prefer, Jak is without a doubt a very well developed and awesome character.
Vin's activating the warp gate. We need to get out of here now.
Number 2.
I know it seems predictable knowing me, but I can't help it. When it comes to the Sonic series, Shadow the Hedgehog is without a doubt my favorite character from that series. Why do I like him? The answer is mostly his backstory. He was created 50 years ago by Professor Gerald Robotnik as the ultimate life form. He was revived by Dr. Eggman in Sonic Adventure 2 and served as one of the 3 main villains of the game. But in Sonic Heroes, he returns again, but this time he suffers from amnesia and is haunted by his past. That's when Shadow the Hedgehog came in to tie up Shadow's origins and answers. I also enjoyed his gameplay. He plays very similar to Sonic, but in order to move, he uses jet shoes to skate around, which is really creative, I must ask. And thanks to Shadow the Hedgehog in Sonic 06, Shadow can drive different vehicles, wield weapons, and use Chaos powers like Chaos Spear, Chaos Blast, and of course, Chaos Control. Shadow's personality also is a big factor. He's a dark and serious character who usually likes to do things alone, but he does come to help his friends and ends up doing the right thing in the end. I really enjoyed his dark and sinister tone in his voice, which fits the character perfectly.
If the world chooses to become my enemy, I will fight like I always have.
Of course, he wouldn't have done this without the promise he made to Maria Robotnik, who's also number 2. Shocking, isn't it? Maria is the granddaughter of Professor Gerald and the closest friend to Shadow and the GUN commander. However, she was killed during the GUN raid in the Ark that scarred Shadow. And this is one of the many things that I felt sorry for Shadow. Maria is a very kind and sweet girl who cares for Shadow greatly. She serves as a reminder to Shadow of the promise that he made in Sonic Adventure 2. But her role is even bigger in Shadow the Hedgehog, where she served as the hero character in 2 levels of the game, as well as Shadow's origin. And do I need to say anything about Maria looking so much like Alice?
Well, what a coincidence.
But all that aside, Shadow is my favorite Sonic character, and Maria is my favorite female Sonic character. But who can beat them?
As I promised you, Maria, I will protect the Professor and the Ark.
Number 1.
Alright, everything with more than 2 legs start trembling, cause the Daxtonator is in the building.
Who else than the character that made the Jak series hilarious and even more enjoyable? I'm talking of that orange furball Daxter. He's the sidekick and best friend to Jak, who started off as an elf-like human like Jak, but when at Misty Island, Daxter falls into a pool of dark eco and gets turned into an Ottsel. Throughout the Precursor Legacy, Jak and Daxter go out to search for Gull in order to get Daxter back to his original self, but, spoiler alert! Finding out that Gull and Maya have been corrupted with dark eco, and when fighting the villains, they see the rare light eco, in which Daxter thinks that may change him back. However, he decides to allow Jak to save the world. But in Jak 2 and Jak 3, all he wants is a pair of pants.
Where would you be without me, eh, Dax?
Well, Jak, I probably wouldn't be 2 feet tall, fuzzy, and running around in a sewer without a pair of pants. God, I miss pants. If you moved that fast a long time ago, I'd still be wearing pants!
His biggest role was in his own game, Daxter, where we see what Daxter was doing during the time Jak was in prison. He works as an exterminator, completing tasks, trying to find Jak and free him from imprisonment, and thwarting Kaiden's plans.
Just give me the bug juice, Pops, and make it a double. I'll hose down every creepy crawly that moves.
Daxter is the polar opposite of Jak. He's a wisecracker, but also acts like a coward. However, he does show his heroic natures, as shown in Daxter and Jak 3.
After him, Jak!
You're willing to go down there? Without a fuss this time.
Yeah, well, don't get used to it. It's just that nobody hurts my best friend and lives to brag about it. Let's get him!
Daxter also plays as a ladies' man, flirting with female characters like Tess and Kira, which is actually funny.
Hey, baby! What do you say you and I go cruising on this A-Grab Zoomer?
Rule number 1, I don't date animals.
Ah, you don't know what you're missing.
Then at times he also gets at odds by characters like Samos, Crew, and even Pecker.
I don't see no crown on that fat featherhead.
You want a crown? I'll crown you. Don't make me come down there from this perch.
I got a perch for you, Birdie, right here. Twirl it.
That's it. It's go time.
Bring it on, Bird Brain. Enough.
One of the funniest moments with Daxter is that he calls himself the hero and at times creates stories of his heroics.
And there I was, toe-to-toe with 5 55 of the nastiest lurkers you ever saw. Suddenly, they came at me from the left, so I moved to the right with a chop and a kick and a...
Playing as Daxter was fun, but in the Jack sequels, he had issues that I personally had. But in Daxter, he was just a blast to play with his electric fly swatter and his spray pack. I just love Daxter. He's hilarious, he has a great personality, and is easily my favorite character in video games.
Now there's a handsome winner.
So, with all said and done, I'm SheShadow1750 saying good night and see you next time.
Chaos Blast!